The Sheffield Wednesday takeover is drifting towards another critical phase, and the latest developments suggest the uncertainty could last far longer than many expected. Sheffield Wednesday supporters, this is where things stand. According to reports, the takeover process at Sheffield Wednesday is now increasingly likely to extend into 2026. Hopes of a preferred bidder being named have not materialised, and the club remains in administration with no confirmed buyer as the end of 2025 approaches. One significant update comes from the Sheffield Star, which reports that the club may now be available for less than the previously discussed £30 million price. They indicate that bids in the region of £15.20 million could potentially be enough to secure ownership. However, the same report makes clear that there is no confirmation any associated punishment from the EFL would be avoided. Under league rules, if unsecured creditors do not receive at least 25 pence in the pound when a club exits administration, a further 15-point deduction would normally apply at the start of the 2026-27 season. The Sheffield Star notes there is no precedent for that punishment being waived, despite suggestions from some interested parties. Separately, journalist Alan Nixon reports that administrators Begbie's trainer are waiting on a fresh bid from the Storch family, following the end of their previously discussed involvement with another American investor. Nixon also reports concerns from administrators regarding the bid from Mike Ashley, suggesting it is currently the lowest on the table and that there are worries it could be reduced further, including potential pressure on administrator fees. Finally, former chairman Sir Dave Richards has publicly outlined the financial realities of modern football ownership, stating that owning a club like Sheffield Wednesday requires total financial commitments well beyond the purchase price, with substantial cash liquidity needed immediately. From a Sheffield Wednesday perspective, this timing is crucial. The club is still in administration, the season continues under that cloud, and every delay increases uncertainty around budgets, planning, and long-term stability. At this stage of the season, clarity on ownership is not just a boardroom issue. It directly affects how the club prepares for the future, especially with the looming risk of further points deductions hanging over the 2026-27 campaign. The reported potential price drop could widen the pool of interested buyers, but it also introduces serious risk. If a lower sale price leads to creditors not being paid at the required level, the threat of a 15-point deduction does not disappear. That would mean Sheffield Wednesday starting a future season with a significant handicap before a ball is kicked. The administrators reported concerns about bid structure, not just headline value, underline how complex this process has become. Administration costs must be covered in full, and any uncertainty around that could weaken certain bids, regardless of public perception. Sir Dave Richards' comments also add important perspective. His analysis suggests that ownership is not about buying the club cheaply, but about having the liquidity to absorb losses, fund infrastructure, and stabilise operations over time. That context helps explain why progress has been slow and why not every bidder can realistically follow through. In my view, the biggest danger for Sheffield Wednesday now is not simply who buys the club, but how financially resilient that owner is from day one. A lower purchase price might feel like progress, but without sufficient cash backing, it risks storing up further problems rather than solving existing ones. Stability, rather than speed, increasingly looks like the defining factor in whether this takeover genuinely resets the club's future. For supporters, this raises an important question. Would you rather see a quicker sale at a lower price, or a longer wait for an owner with the resources to absorb the risks ahead? If you want to keep track of how this situation develops as Sheffield Wednesday's ownership story continues, follow for future updates focused purely on verified news and its impact on the club.